Right now, there's no football. Normally, we would have a World Cup right now, but we all know why that's happening in the winter. Basically, the only way to entertain ourselves with football is transfers. And we have already seen some big deals happening, but today we're going to focus on some crazy transfer deals. And you guys voted for this video with this community post. If you want to make this a weekly thing, that you guys have the power to decide what video I make, let me know in the comments down below and maybe we can work something out. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. Starting off with the transfer that actually inspired me to make this video. Because the latest transfer hijacking we have seen is Tyrell Malacia from Feyenoord rejecting Lyon in order to join Manchester United. Tyrell Malacia just had a great season with Feyenoord. They finished third in the Eredivisie, but they also managed to go to the finals of the Conference League. So naturally, after the season he just had, clubs would be interested to sign the 22-year-old left back. And for a long time, it seemed like Olympique Lyon had an agreement with the player. They offered Feyenoord a fee of 13 million euros fixed with 2 million in add-ons. And Fabrizio Romano, we all know him, he's the most reliable person on Instagram, basically on the entire internet, to report transfers. And when he makes a post saying the three magical words, "Here we go," you know the deal is wrapped up. But in this case, it wasn't, because at the 11th hour, Manchester United hijacked the deal. Feyenoord was happy with this deal, they were getting more money, and Malacia also thought that Manchester United was the better option for him. Obviously, there's the link with Erik ten Hag, and the fullback positions definitely need work, so I'm sure he's gonna play a lot. And this deal has literally just been confirmed, so Manchester United, well done on hijacking this deal. And next up, we're going to a player that should have joined Manchester United, but ended up elsewhere, because Ronaldinho almost joined Manchester United from PSG, but ended up going to Barcelona. In 2003, Manchester United just lost David Beckham to Real Madrid. And naturally, they had to replace him, so they wanted to get Ronaldinho. But funny enough, them selling Beckham to Real Madrid instead of to Barcelona actually made them not sign Ronaldinho. Because when Beckham wanted to leave Manchester United, Barcelona were very interested in signing the player. But after Beckham went to Real Madrid in a deal worth more than 30 million pounds, Barcelona obviously had to find somebody else. And this somebody else turned out to be Ronaldinho, the player that Manchester United were also trying to sign. And Manchester United was actually this close to signing the player, but in the end Ronaldinho chose Barcelona, and that's why in the end Ronaldinho slipped away through their fingers. And imagine Ronaldinho at Manchester United. He would have played there in his prime, he would have given his best years to Manchester United, but instead they saw him shine for Barcelona. So not only did the club lose Beckham, one of their best players, they also missed out on a player that would go on to do great things for Barcelona. So you can say that the Beckham transfer actually turned out to be twice as painful for United. And for this one, we're going way back in time, and sometimes it's fun to look at some old deals. I mean really old, because we're going back to 1953. Alfredo Di Stefano, one of Real Madrid's biggest legends, was playing in Colombia at the time when Barcelona wanted to buy the player. Or buy the player, at least sign him. And Barcelona thought that they did just that. They registered him with FIFA, but not with the Spanish Football Federation. And this is where Real Madrid swooped in, quickly signed the player, and then there was some controversy. Because obviously both teams wanted the player and he signed with both clubs, so what now? And then an agreement was found, and this is absolutely crazy, that Di Stefano would play in Spain for 4 years, 2 years for Real Madrid and 2 years for Barcelona. Can you imagine that something like this would have happened right now? Stuff like that surely wouldn't work now, and also it wouldn't work then, because Di Stefano never moved to Barcelona and he became a Real Madrid legend. And it's safe to say that Di Stefano made the right choice, because 5 Champions Leagues, 2 Ballon d'Ors and many other accolades later, it was pretty successful. And we're going from one Real Madrid legend to another, because we're going to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. And we're not talking about his move to Real Madrid, because there was no hijacking involved there. But we're going to talk about his Manchester United return from last year, because he almost joined Manchester City from Juventus. But in the end, Manchester United swooped in and signed the player anyways. Because last summer, Cristiano Ronaldo was unhappy with the situation at Juventus. They just finished 4th and he thought that it was not going to get any better with Juventus. So he wanted out, and Manchester City was conveniently still looking for a striker. And at the time, Ronaldo was 36, but still, he was one of the best strikers in the entire world. So it makes sense. But when Sir Alex Ferguson understood that Manchester City were about to sign Cristiano Ronaldo, a Manchester United legend, he could not let that happen. So he pulled some strings, called Ronaldo himself and told him, if you want to return to Manchester United, there is a place for you. And in the end, that is exactly what happened. So Ronaldo went back to Manchester United, snubbing Manchester City in the process. And 1 year down the line, 30 Premier League games, 18 goals, Ronaldo is set to leave Manchester United again. But the big question is, will Ronaldo actually leave? And if he leaves, where will he go? What do you guys think would be the best destination for Ronaldo if he actually ends up leaving Manchester United? Let me know in the comments down below and let's see what you guys think. Moving on to the next deal, because in 2018, Alexis Sanchez wanted to leave Arsenal and he snubbed Manchester City in order to join Manchester United. And this already is the third time in this list that Manchester United hijacked a player. I promise this is the last one, but they seem to be very skilled at this. For months at the time, there were reports that Alexis Sanchez would join Manchester City and Manchester City only. It was clear that Sanchez wanted out of Arsenal and Manchester City were very interested in the player and Guardiola really wanted him at the club. So the fee wasn't an issue for Manchester City. The proposal for the contract was there, but then Manchester United swooped in. And in the process, Mkhitaryan was sent to Arsenal and Manchester United offered Alexis Sanchez a deal worth more than £500,000 per month. Which I wouldn't say is very cheap for a player that would go on to score only 5 goals for the club. And I'm pretty sure that Manchester United fans were very excited at the time, but right now I'm pretty sure that they wish that this had never happened. And for Manchester City, it's safe to say that they absolutely dodged a bullet here. Because I personally think that Alexis Sanchez wouldn't have done much better at Manchester City. And believe me, this next story is absolutely crazy and there will be one more story like this later on, so keep watching for that. And this story is absolutely wild because this player signed a deal with 2 clubs without the representation of any agent. And that's most likely why this transfer saga went a little bit wrong. Because when Obi Mikel turned 18 years old, Manchester United thought that they signed the player and they announced his arrival. And like I said, Obi Mikel did all of this without his agent, but Chelsea also wanted the player and they reached an agreement with his agent. So now all of a sudden the player had 2 agreements with 2 different clubs. But in the end, Mikel wanted to sign with Chelsea and that's what he actually did. And to understand how close Manchester United actually were to signing this player, they set up an entire press conference with Obi Mikel in the Manchester United shirt. And like I said, Obi Mikel made up his mind. He actually wanted to join Chelsea and he was really serious because in May 2005 he even went missing for a little bit in order to force through a transfer to Chelsea. And because all of this, Manchester United didn't want the player anymore, but they still had an agreement with him, so Chelsea had to pay up. So the 2 clubs agreed that Chelsea would pay Manchester United £12 million in order to transfer his registration. What an absolute mess of a transfer deal. And next up, there was a deal that was so close that fans were actually waiting for the player at the airport for the player to snub the club and join a different one. And I'm obviously talking about Malcolm rejecting AS Roma in order to join Barcelona. In 2018, Malcolm was one of the most sought after talents in the entire world. Clubs like Arsenal, Chelsea, Roma and Barcelona were all after the player. And obviously, his club at the time, Bordeaux, wanted the highest price for him. And at the time, it looked like AS Roma was going to be that club. They agreed a fee and they already announced him on Instagram. And at the last possible moment, Barcelona offered a little bit more than AS Roma and his former club, Bordeaux, thought, we could use that extra money. They ended up accepting the deal and that meant that Malcolm was not heading to AS Roma but to Barcelona instead. And you really have to feel for all of the fans that traveled to the airport to welcome their new signing, only for him not to show up. But in hindsight, they didn't really have to be that disappointed because Malcolm was not a success with Barcelona, only scoring 4 goals for the club. And that's why in 2019, Barcelona already moved the player on to Zenit St. Petersburg in Russia. So in the end, a lot of trouble without a lot of results. And since we're talking about hijacked transfers, stay tuned this summer because I have a feeling that 1 or 2 more hijacked deals can actually happen. We all know that Arsenal is very interested in signing Lisandro Martinez from Ajax, but Erik ten Hag also wants him at Manchester United. So he reportedly told the club to do everything they can in their power in order to sign the player. And for Rafinha, apparently he had an agreement with Barcelona for such a long time, but now Chelsea is trying to swoop in for the player. They made an official bid and Leeds is ready to accept it. So it will be very interesting to see how these transfers will unfold, and maybe in a year's time we have to make this video again and possibly these deals might be in it. But anyways guys, that's the video done. Let me know in the comments down below what is the craziest hijacked transfer that happened in the history of the sport. And as always, be sure to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.